Okay, artificial intelligence is moving incredibly fast right now. We're rapidly evolving from a tool that we simply talk to into a dynamic system that actually acts autonomously on our behalf. Today, in this explainer, we are unpacking the actual engine driving that massive shift. We're looking closely at the architect's guide from Anasup Consulting, and the goal here is to totally bypass the industry buzzwords. We want to understand the concrete, foundational blueprints of modern AI systems. If you really want to grasp where this technology is heading tomorrow, you absolutely have to understand the architecture underneath it today. And that is exactly what we are going to do by breaking down this framework piece by piece.
Okay, let's dive into this. Anasup Consulting recently posed a really fascinating question in their guide. What is OpenClaw? Inside AI agents, LLMs, and the agentic loop. And honestly, this single quote provides our entire roadmap for today. It lays out a meticulously ordered hierarchy of concepts, giving us the exact ingredients we need to understand the absolute cutting edge of AI architecture. We've got the overarching mystery of OpenClaw itself, the active role of AI agents, the foundational layer of LLMs, and finally, this mechanical engine known as the agentic loop. We are going to unpack this core source material step by step.
Which brings us right to the central question of our explainer. What exactly is OpenClaw? It sounds powerful, right? It sounds structured. But to truly grasp what it represents architecturally, we can't just jump straight to the end of the book. Think of this whole thing like a set of Matryoshka dolls. Those Russian nesting dolls where you open the largest one only to find the next and the next until you finally reach the core. To understand the complete, massive framework of OpenClaw, we first have to understand how the smaller, foundational pieces are wired together inside of it. So let's keep our ultimate destination in mind, but begin our journey at the very base layer of the architecture.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how we start our zoom in at the broadest, most foundational layer, the large language model. In the context of OpenClaw, the LLM isn't just a basic chatbot, it's the raw, foundational cognitive engine. It holds all the vast parameters, the complex logic, and the heavy processing power. But, and here is the massive catch within this specific blueprint, on its own, a foundational LLM is entirely kinetic potential. It's just waiting there for a spark. It literally requires a human to prompt it before it generates a single token of text. So it's a completely necessary foundation, for sure, but it's totally incomplete if our ultimate goal is true autonomy. Let's move to and see how this builds stepping into the next layer of our Matryoshka doll to define AI agents. Because, well, a brain needs a body to actually enact change out in the world, right? That is exactly where AI agents come into the architecture. This is the active evolution of the technology. An AI agent takes that raw foundational intelligence from the LLM and basically gives it hands, the ability to interact with its environment. It's a system that acts on your behalf. Imagine an agent independently navigating your calendar conflicts, communicating with attendees, and totally rescheduling a meeting without you ever drafting a single email. The source material intentionally separates LLMs and AI agents because the agent is the thing that takes the raw cognitive potential of the LLM and converts it into tangible execution. So the shift from a static LLM to an active AI agent is fundamentally the shift from an encyclopedia to an employee. A static model just waits for your prompt. You type, it answers. You stop typing, it completely stops working. It is entirely dependent on continuous human input. But an active AI agent, it's dynamic. You give it a high-level goal and it turns around and writes its own prompts to accomplish that goal. It explores, it tries different API calls, it uses external tools. It's highly capable. But it begs a pretty huge structural question. How does that digital employee actually know how to keep working toward a goal without stopping? Enter the agentic loop. This is the critical mechanical turning point of our architectural guide. This is the cycle driving agent autonomy. You see, an agent doesn't just act once and power down. It has to perceive what happened after its action, evaluate that new reality, and then act again. This continuous cycle of perceiving, thinking, and acting, that is the loop. It is the literal engine that allows the AI agent to operate independently over time. Without the agentic loop, an agent would really just be a slightly more complex static script running down a linear checklist. The loop provides the actual heartbeat for artificial autonomy. And this brilliantly illustrates the three logical steps of the loop mechanics implied by the source terminology. Step 1, the LLM processes. The cognitive engine analyzes the current state of things and the overarching goal you gave it. Step 2, the agent acts. Based on that processing, the active layer actually executes a task. So imagine an agent researching a topic, hitting a sudden paywall, and immediately realizing on its own that it needs to rewrite its prompt to search for an open source alternative. Step 3, the loop repeats. It feeds the result of that action right back into the LLM and starts the whole thing over. Process, act, repeat. It's an incredibly efficient cycle. I mean, unlike us humans who often get stuck in endless loops of overthinking, the AI actually executes and adapts flawlessly.
So the crucial point is how all of this is actually orchestrated. We've opened all the nesting dolls, and now we can finally see the complete picture. OpenClaw isn't just some conceptual idea. It is the grand thesis. It's the specific orchestration layer. It is the structural framework that natively wires the cognitive output of the LLM to the execution capabilities of the AI agent, all governed by the continuous engine of the agentic loop. OpenClaw represents a truly unified architecture. It's an API ecosystem where brains, bodies, and autonomous engines don't just sit side by side, but are seamlessly, perfectly integrated to handle complex, multi-step operations without any human intervention.
So let's leave off with this. If agentic loops are the mechanism that makes these AI agents truly autonomous, what will an integrated framework like OpenClaw build next? We have definitively moved from static text generation to orchestrated systems that process, act, and repeat endlessly to achieve complex goals. The architecture is officially in place. The blueprints from Anasup Consulting show us exactly how the pieces fit together to create a totally new paradigm of digital labor. The only question left is, what are you going to do with this understanding?